What's up, mansion builders? Welcome back to Assisted Living Investing. And today I want to talk to you about touring and how you can set up a repeatable structure so that you can tour and you can close the deal and you can make sales. But not only that, so that you can train your managers and your best caregivers a repeatable structure so that they're not going to fumble through it. They're going to know exactly what to say, exactly what the process is, so that you can get your time back while still making sales and filling your beds. So Lauren and myself, we developed this over a few years of really trial and error, running these sales tours ourselves at Platinum Resort. Trained our managers on it maybe about 2 years or so ago, and the proof is still there. We have almost 50 plus people on our wait list, and we are touring probably 2 to 3 new people a week. So I'm not gonna talk to you tonight about how we get so many tours. That's a whole other question. But let's talk about, while you have people in the building there, what is the structure so that you can close almost all of these people who are ready to sign and move in, and then you can build a big wait list. So as we're getting into this, I want to talk about the expectations that the families have as they are going and looking to tour your home, your facility, and really the expectations that we have as a trained salesperson. What are we trying to get to? Because I don't want to come across salesy. I don't want to have that pushy kind of vibe that seems like fake and robotic. And let me ask you all these list of questions. And it's just like, But I want you as the potential customer, right? As you are coming and touring, I want you to think that you are getting what you want. And me, honestly, as the salesperson or my managers, to get what we want. So let me unpack that a smidge, because here's really what I think. The families, the power of attorneys, have their own objectives. Right? What their objectives are is they want to come see your home, see your facility. They want to tour the facility. They want to see what's going on. They want to see the staff. They want to see the residents. They want to see the care. Then they want to go see the bedroom. And then they want to learn about the pricing. And then they want to hear about the amenities and the services you offer. And then they want to go and leave, right? They actually don't want to be forced to make an answer. They want to go share all of this information with their family as they go and tour, 5 or 6 other options. And then after they've, made their decision and talked to the family and the other decision makers, then they want to call back and say, hey, yeah, I do want to move my mom in, right? That's the family's objective. So that's not my objective. My objective as a trained salesperson is to dig into the problem here and find out if I can solve the problem and then make them an offer. So here's really what I want to do. I want to tour the family. The resident may be there, they may not. But I want to tour the family, the POA, and I want to investigate. I want to put on my investigator hat and I want to say, okay, well, you know what? I am looking for your pain. What is going on? Why are you coming to an assisted living or a memory care that charges $7,000 to $10,000 a month? You have to have some pain point to be here, right? That's really what our niche is. We're not talking about, on the golf course apartment, right? That's $1,500 a month. No, you're here because you're a near end of life. So there's some pain there. And I want to find out, what is the pain for the resident? What is going on there? What is the pain for the family? Both of those things are important. And then I want to find out, how is it affecting the resident? And how is this pain affecting the family? And then ultimately, if I can solve this pain, right, by my services that we offer at Assisted Living, if I can solve this pain, I want to find out, hey, you know what? If I did solve this pain for you, what would that do for your family? Would this be a good fit for you, right? I can tell you if it's a good fit for us based on the information we gather. I want to show, hey, you know what? I could solve this problem. And if I did, would it be a good fit for you to come here? So I want to do all of those things, but I really want them to think that I am meeting their expectations, that I'm not being a pushy salesperson, that I don't have this other objective, right? But I do. I honestly do. As a salesperson, I want to find out these things and solve their pain. That's really my job. But I want them to think that I am meeting their expectations of just touring them around, showing the room, showing the building, giving the pricing, and just being, a nice chit-chatty kind of guy. That is what their expectations are. So I want to give you this structure that molds both of these two things together: how to meet the family's expectations and how to do our job as a salesperson. So before I get into the structure of what the sales process is like, I want to talk about emotional connection. This part right here is so important. It is really emotion over logic. People will make big decisions with emotion and then justify it to themselves with logic. And what I mean by that is no one goes and like makes a logical decision to buy a new Corvette, right? That's an emotional decision. It's how is this gonna make me feel, right? I'm gonna have this reaction from my friends or my family. I'm gonna feel like this kind of person. And then you justify it to yourself. Well, I'll be able to, write this off on my taxes. I can use this for, business reasons and all those kind of things, right? Emotional decisions are how decisions are made for assisted living. And if you can come in and you can be the sign that they're looking for. Literally, we hear it all the time. You guys are a sign from God. Like I just know when we walk in. It's because we created an emotional connection with the conversations that we are having specifically with them, but then also with what they are seeing and observing in our home. So I'll tell you all the different things that you can say, but you know what? This is probably the most important part, is what you do not say. There are so many tours that we have, we don't have to say a dang word. We go and we meet them and we'll say all the things and show them it, and they say, you know what? None of that matters, right? I knew within 2 minutes of walking into Platinum Resort that this is where we're gonna be. I had to have mom here. I just knew it, right? And it's because of what they saw. It's because of what they felt. It's because of the environment. When you do an amazing job with care and you have amazing staff and they see the genuine love of your caregivers hugging them and holding them and taking care of them, when they see the chef plating and cooking awesome meals for them and like just going above and beyond and having this gorgeous food, when they see the environment and the culture and they see the hospice and the home health people there in the building taking care of grandmas, that's all you need. If you are great at this, just get people in the building, have a gorgeous building and have amazing product. So with that in mind, as we have a new tour coming in, our managers who are gonna run the tour will actually make the families wait like 5 or 7 minutes. And just, they're sitting down there in the great room, watching everything going on, and we'll specifically schedule our tours usually between 10 and 1 o'clock. So that's really like the busy time. 10 o'clock is our morning activity, and then it leads right into lunch, and they see the chef and they see all the food and all of this kind of stuff. They see the rhythm and the routine, and they see that this is real. So let me break down what our structure looks like. Really, the first part of this tour is setting the stage, and it's just the first couple minutes. They come in, they ring the doorbell, somebody opens the door, probably a caregiver, and welcomes them, has them take a seat, and then our managers come down in a couple minutes and introduce themselves and say, hey, here's what's gonna happen. This is the setting the stage part. They are saying, we're gonna do this, this, and this, so that there is no worry or concern that this might take too long, or you're gonna not give me the information that I want, or you're gonna be salesy and pushy. We'll say something like, this will take about 20 to 30 minutes. We'll show you the home, we'll show you the room that we have available. I would love to be able to ask about your loved one to see what kind of care we can provide and see if it's a great fit. I'll provide you all the pricing and give you the extra materials that you need to go and make a decision. And that's really kind of what we'll say in the front. And really the whole point of this is to lower the pressure, right? To bring down their guard so that you can have an open, honest conversation and you can find out, what is the pain? Why are you here? Now that first part of it, it might take 2 minutes, it might take 30 minutes, depending on the tour. Some people come and they just like verbally vomit all over you. Mom is in this big smelly facility down the street and she has bed sores and she's getting bad care, and I don't know if she's getting her medications, and it's horrible over there, and the chef quit and they have mac and cheese every single day and blah, 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 blah. And they're just like, honestly, sometimes they break down crying. And so honestly, it's like 50% of the time where they're just like, oh, here's all the stuff, here's the pain, like this is what we're going through. And again, our niche is more end of life. So most of the potential tours that we're having, they're already in another facility. They've gone through independent already. They're in assisted living and maybe moving to end of life and or memory care. So there's definitely pain there. That's why they're here, right? So half of them are, pretty easy to have these conversations with. They just say, hey, here's everything horrible going on. Are you any different? Are you any better? The other half are, they're kind of price line negotiators. They keep everything kind of quiet and they're, just kind of to themselves. So depending on, how your tour goes, it just might be a couple minutes, or you might spend the entire time sitting there on the couch, just chit-chatting about mom and how we can help her and see if it's a good fit. But then as we continue to move around, we move to the second part of this, which is the tour. And I would say this, that the tour is not important. I do not need the tour in order to make the sale. We do the tour partly because it's what the expectation is for the family. They think they're gonna see the building and see the room. I use the tour as an opportunity to be the investigator. I'm going to walk through bunch of different places and rooms in the mansion, and I'm going to use that as a strategic opportunity to ask questions about what I'm seeing there, right? So I'll put that in perspective in just a minute here. But I actually kind of think of it like a Candyland board. And if you remember that old school game, you start and there's all these different squares as you're moving along. And for us, our tour is just like Candyland. You're gonna start with your first square at the front door, and then you're gonna move to the great room, and then you're gonna move to the kitchen, and then you'll move to the medication cart, and then you move to the salon and the room and the bathroom and the outside area. Every place is a step down the Candyland board, and every place is a new opportunity for you to ask about that thing and say, hey, you know what? We're here at the medication cart. How is mom's medications, right? So let me give you a little bit of perspective and give you some word tracks and examples about what you can ask as you're at each space going through your tour. So the first spot on the Candyland board is we're already in the great room. So right there, right? We are spending a good amount of time here in the great room because I want them to see it. I want them to feel it. I want them to know the environment and see the love. And if you have a great assisted living, great services, then man, perfect. Do all of these sales kind of things right there where you're in the middle of it. Honestly, I think that's the best. Don't go off to the office like big corporate does and you're just like sterile and like just ew. Like be there, be more family environment. Let me give you an example here, right? I'll start the tour and we'll start walking through and we'll just be right there and we'll see all the grandmas and we'll see the staff and we'll see the chef and we'll see the hospice people there that are taking care of our residents. So usually there is a common pain point that the tours have. So let me kind of step by step unpack those. As they're going in the great room, usually they'll say, hey, you know what? I don't want mom in, another big smelly facility. They don't use that term. That's my term. But they get the same point across, right? And I say, hey, you know what? This is not one of those, right? We are a large house, right? We're a luxury upscale home and we do family life together. As you can see, like all the grandmas are just sitting here together, right? We eat together. We pray together, we do activities together, we do life together, and we treat this like one big family. So as we walk through the great room, we see our medication cart, and I'll use this as my second stopping point on my tour. And usually this is the probably first or second biggest pain point that most families have is medications. That either mom is not taking her medications, she's refusing them, and no one's there to insist that she takes them or help her take them, or they're being taken inconsistently or inappropriate with the wrong time or the wrong dose, and no one's there to document it. No clarity is happening with the big facility or at home to make sure that mom's getting the right medications, and mom is kind of suffering or declining in some way. There's some kind of real pain there. So we use this as a talking point and we'll say, hey, you know what? We have staff that are trained, they're med techs, they're here 24/7, even at night. If mom needs night medications, we have staff available every single day who's able to handle that. We are tracking all of her medications. We are calling the doctors and we are ordering these medications from the pharmacy. You don't have to do those things. You'll have our managers as the primary point of contact between the pharmacy and you and the doctor to be able to say, hey, here's what's going on with mom's medications. We've made a change last week and we're seeing these things. And we'll be that point of contact for you and really take that off your plate. And then after the medication cart, we'll walk over to the kitchen and I'll introduce them to our chef and we'll see like, hey, here's what it looks like. We usually schedule this as the chef is prepping lunch or they're serving lunch. So they'll see what our food looks like. And food for us is a huge priority. And this is usually one of the biggest pain points that family has. It's either at the big facility, someone just dropping the plate in her room and we have no idea if she's actually eating or not. Or she's eating inconsistently or refusing to eat and she's starting to lose weight. This is a big problem near end of life and actually one of the most common problems as people are touring coming from the big facilities. So we say, hey, you know what? Here's our chef. Here's what our food looks like. We eat over here together like a family and we prioritize food. We make scratch-made meals. We're not getting stuff from Cisco. We do lean grilled proteins and veggies. And you know what? We have this one chef for just these 16 grandmas and grandpas. And within a week or so, he will memorize all of the grandmas and grandpas' foods, likes, dislikes, allergies, anything like that. So if we're having salmon salad one day and he knows here's the 2 residents that don't eat fish, right? He'll just go ahead and prep chicken. He'll already know these things. If mom wants something different, she can just ask, right? He's happy to make her something different. We also have our caregivers sitting here at the table with mom. And as she continues to decline, we are there to help her. Initially, it may just be cueing, right? Just reminding them, hey, let's take a bite. Into actually, as they get into dementia, physically helping them put the spoon to their mouth, right? And then later on, as they forget how to swallow and chew and they have issues with that, right? The chef can chop things, we can do puree diets for them. All of these things we can do, and we can pretty much handle on a very custom level all of your food and dietary needs. And then after the kitchen, we'll walk past the salon. And the salon is actually a really important one. And I didn't know it was gonna be this important one before I got started. So the salon is used for the barber to come, right? Every 2 weeks or so, we have the barber come, and we'll explain that to the family. But the more important part is we use the salon for all of our outside services, meaning the doctor will set up in there, the dentist will set up there, mobile vaccine will come, we can do chew and swallow tests in there, we can do mobile x-ray in there, the podiatrist will come in there, sometimes the hospice or home health will use that. We use it as like a little doctor's office. And here's the important part. What makes us successful is we can offer all of the care and amenities that the big smelly facilities can, right? They have all those people on their payroll. We don't need to do that, right? We have all of these services that are mobile will come into our mansion. So here's the important part. We have pain for the resident, right? They are suffering, they're aging, they're having, dementia issues and bodily issues. The family is also suffering. Usually the daughter, maybe it's the son, or it could be the husband. But sometimes, there's marital issues, right? It's been years of, I have to take care of mom every day. And, I had to quit my job to do this. There's financial stress, there's time stress. We've had families move in, and after a couple days, they're just on their knees, literally like crying, like, thank you. Like, I've never had a 3-day break in the last 3 years to go and spend time with my grandkids, right? Like, there is so much pressure on families as the primary caregiver when they are doing it themselves. And honestly, we are solving a huge problem for them. So it is important to investigate, how is this affecting the family? Because part of your sales is solving both problems, the resident's problem and the family's problem. And if you can solve that family's problem, right, usually the person there that's touring, man, this is how you make that sale. You're like, I'm gonna help your mom, and I'm gonna get you back to the life that you wanna have, right? Spending time with your grandkids, or with your husband, or traveling again, or going and hanging out with your girlfriends, whatever you used to do that you can't do anymore. So then we'll walk into one of the bedrooms, and we usually have our bedrooms fully furnished or staged, and they can keep that furniture if they like. But the common concern and pain point they have is that mom is left alone all day. Whether she's at home or in the big facility, she's usually just left in a room. And we'll tell them, hey, that's not the way we do things here. We will get your mom out of her room, right? All of our grandmas and grandpas, they are hanging out in the great room multiple times a day. Your mom's really not gonna be in here that much. She's here to sleep, but we are gonna treat her like she's part of our family and all do life together out in the great room and socialize and do meals and things like that. We're not gonna force her, but if she is a person who wants to spend more time alone and not be around other people, then we'll have some of our caregivers come and spend quality one-on-one time with her in her room. And we'll say all these things, but honestly, this is actually what we do, right? This is why we're successful, because we have great service. So you actually have to do these things that you're telling people you're gonna do. So after the bedroom, we'll walk over to the bathroom and we'll talk about what this looks like, right? Toileting and showering and the morning routine and the evening routine. And we'll tell them, like, listen, what we do is we will create a custom routine for your mom or your dad, right? Which starts in the morning. We'll get them up at a certain time, and we'll go through and help them pick their clothes and get them dressed and go through their, washing their face and brushing their teeth, all of those kind of things. There's a routine through the whole day, and then there's shower time, though it's scheduled a couple times a week. We are always here to help them. And then as they continue to decline or have memory care issues, we are there to fully assist in the shower. And then throughout the day, as they start getting, through medications and dinner and things like that, we start their eating routine, and we'll bring them back in here. They can always watch TV and relax, but we'll help them get in their pajamas, brush their teeth, comb their hair, get all ready, and tuck them in at night. And then as we leave the bedroom, we'll walk down the hallway. We have these big glass walls that lead to our bamboo garden, and we'll talk about the outdoor stuff that we do. How when the weather's great, we'll hang out outside, our chef will barbecue out there, we'll do 4th of July, and we'll do popsicle parties out there. And then a lot of times our families will come and visit for dinner, so we'll set them up on the back patio where they can be with their loved one, they can have meals there together, and it's a little bit more intimate, and they have a great place to be and sit. So that's really the end of the Candyland board for me, right? Then we walk back to the great room, pretty much where we started. I wanna be back in the middle of it again, right? I want them to see this is the real thing. I want them to see the love and see the care and just re-emphasize the emotion that this is the best place I've been to. Mom needs to be here. So when we get back to the comm room, I'll give them the info, the packet, and all of that kind of stuff. And again, this is wrapping up their expectations. They came in, they saw the building, they saw the room. I'm now giving them the packet. I'm telling them about the pricing. That's what they expected to happen, right? But meanwhile, I investigated. I took them on the tour and I asked about all the different pain points. And at every single pain point, when they said, hey, you know what, mom's like this and mom's like this, my job has been to solve those pain points one thing at a time, right? As they're talking about the food, I'm saying, here's how we're gonna do it for her. As they're talking about mom's medication problems, I'm saying, here's how we're gonna do it for mom. Usually by the time that we've made it back to the third stage here in the great room, right? I have gone through, I've investigated, I've learned where all the pain points are, and we've already solved for all of those things. So here's how I do my offer. If you think it's genuinely a good fit that you can provide great care for this grandma, then it's simply something like this. I'll go and say, hey, you know what? We will create a custom care plan for your mom. You've told us about her and you've said that she has this pain and that pain and this pain, and we'll do this. We'll solve this problem this way, we'll solve this problem this way, and we'll solve this third problem this way. So I think it'll be a great fit and we'll be able to take wonderful care of her. What do you think? Do you think it's a good fit? And that's really it right there, right? That is my offer. I'm going to say that we have a custom care plan, solve their pain, and say, hey, I think we can take great care of her if you genuinely can. Do you think it's a good fit? And then I just be quiet and I just wait for their response. And usually, if I've done a great job, I've gotten through all the pain, I've gotten through all the rebuttals before I even get to my offer. So then most of the times, honestly, they're like, yeah, I want to do this. Like, what's next? So there's two things that I want to add here, and that's scarcity and urgency. And both of these two things are great tools to have in your tool belt. So scarcity, meaning you don't have a lot of space available. You don't have a bunch of rooms, right? And they're always going to be available. Scarcity means that you have just one room. And so if you're great at what you do, you should only have one room, right? But just say, hey, you know what? If we may have this one room, we may have a couple, but we don't have rooms often available, right? Our grandmas are with us for years and we never know when the next one is going to be available. So there is just this one room right here. The next component is urgency. Urgency meaning act now, right? Because you know what? I happen to have 2 more tours tomorrow and we just have this one room and the odds that it's gonna be available by the end of this weekend are not good. I usually have our rooms sold within 2 to 3 days. That's urgency, right? Combine those together. There is one room and it's gonna be sold in the next 3 days. If you want this room, if you think it's a good fit, I need you to act now. And really, that means let's take the next step, right? And for us, we do a bed hold fee and a move-in deposit. It's kind of just one-pager agreement. That's kind of both things. And what that means for us is if you are ready to move in, you sign this bed hold agreement. It's a 30-day non-refundable. You pay us a fee, right? That holds this room for you for the next 30 days. When you do move in, that bed hold deposit moves into your community fee. And that really is just kind of like your move-in fee is another term. It's really your deposit. And that is still non-refundable. When you do move out or you pass away, you don't get that back. We do use that to turn the room and pay for maintenance and other things like that. But that's essentially what it is. They're gonna give us a check, they're gonna sign this move-in agreement, and then we're gonna say, hey, you know what, that's great. Put in your 30 days or come from home. Honestly, sometimes it's like, okay, when can I move in? What's the soonest? Tomorrow? Sometimes it's like, oh, I gotta get a 30-day at my other facility. And honestly, it takes at least a few days to get somebody all their paperwork signed and send over their medication list and talk to the doctor and have all these things signed. It takes at least 3 days. So moving quick, right? If somebody's like, you know, they're in a rehab, they need to move out right away, right? I guess it could get done in a day, but nonetheless, I'm just saying it takes usually a couple days to do this, but this is what my process is. So this structure we've taught our partners. We've had firsthand feedback that our partners have taught this to their managers and seen a crazy increase in their ability to close their sales, their tours. So it's working for us, it's working for our partners. If you are already operating and you do not have a sales system, then use this. If you have a friend that is operating and they don't have a sales system, or you don't think they do because they have a bunch of open beds, then send them this episode. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next one.